Many years ago, in the great kingdom of Ulani, there lived a wealthy king, King Anyika. He had an only son named Prince Kamsi. Kamsi was known for his charm, bravery, and his stubborn desire to marry the most beautiful girl in the land. As the only son of a king, the heir apparent to the throne of Ulani kingdom, he had everything he could ever want. But there was one thing he had beyond that no one could give him: a bride whose beauty surpassed all. When Kamsi turned 25, King Anyika summoned all the beautiful maidens in the kingdom to present themselves before the prince. The royal palace was filled with laughter and joy as young girls dressed in colorful garments danced to the admiration of all. "Son, here is the loveliest girl in Ulani," the king said proudly. "You can choose your bride from among them." Kamsi looked at the girls. He shook his head and said, "None of them are beautiful enough," he declared. He walked through the rows of hopeful faces, each girl adorned with the finest jewelry and lovely dress, but none of them impressed him. Prince Kamsi sighed. "If I am to marry, it must be to the most beautiful girl in the world, not just in Ulani kingdom." King Anyika was taken aback. "Kamsi, beauty is not everything. Each of these girls came from a noble families and will make a fine queen." Kamsi was firm. His mind was made up, and no amount of persuasion could change it. "I will find my bride, father. If I can't find her here, I will search beyond our lands." And so, with this, his father reluctantly blessed him. Kamsi set off to the neighboring village, determined to find a beautiful woman that would capture his heart. The journey was long, but Kamsi was excited. He had heard tales of a village filled with beautiful women. The thought of finding a beautiful lady that would fulfill his dream gladdened his heart. As he traveled along with some royal guards, they laughed and shared stories. As soon as they entered the neighboring village, Kamsi marveled at its beauty. The villagers went about their normal duties, laughing and chatting. Kamsi noticed the way people looked at him, some with admiration and others with suspicion. "Stay close," he told his guards. "We do not know what awaits us in this village." As they strolled by the river bank, Kamsi shouted. There she was, a beautiful young woman with long flowing hair that shined like gold in the sunlight. She was fetching water by the stream with her friends, her laughter ringing like music as she splashed playfully with the water. Kamsi felt a jolt of electricity run through him. "Who is this?" he asked, his voice barely audible. "That is Amara," one of the villagers replied. "The daughter of Amanze. She is the most beautiful girl in the village." Kamsi approached Amara. "Hello," he said, smiling. "I am Prince Kamsi from Ulani." Amara looked up, her eyes sparkling like stars. "Greetings, Your Highness," she replied, her voice soft and melodic. "What brings you to our humble village?" "I have come in search of a bride, and I must say you are the most beautiful girl I have ever seen," Kamsi said, taking a step closer. She smiled. "You flatter me, Prince, but beauty is not all that matters. What will you do if you do not like what lies beneath?" Kamsi was surprised by her words. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Sometimes people hide their true selves beneath the surface. It is important to look beyond appearance," Amara said. Kamsi laughed lightly, shaking his head. "I am not afraid to look beneath the surface. I see beauty in you, and I believe we could be happy together." They spent the next few days together, talking and laughing, learning about each other. Kamsi was attracted by Amara's spirit and warmth. She spoke of her dreams, her love for nature, and her desire to help others. With each moment, Kamsi found himself falling deeper in love. As the days passed, Kamsi began to notice something odd about Amara. She would sometimes gaze longingly at the river, as if someone was calling her from the depths of the water. He wanted to ask her about it, but he was afraid of ruining their relationship. Finally, after several days, Kamsi knew it was time to take the next step. "Amara," he said one evening as they walked on the street, "will you marry me? I want to bring you back to my kingdom." Amara looked at him, her expression a mix of joy and uncertainty. "Prince Kamsi, I care for you deeply, but there are things you do not understand. Please tell me, what is troubling you?" Kamsi said, holding her hand in his. "I promise to listen." Amara hesitated, glancing at the river once again. "There are things about me that I cannot explain. I am not like other girls you have met. If we marry, you might not like what you will discover." Kamsi was confused. "I will love you for who you are, Amara. You don't have to hide from me." Finally, after much coercing, she nodded. "Okay, I will marry you, but you must promise to be patient with me. There is a secret I must reveal on our wedding day." Kamsi was so excited. "I promise, nothing will change how I feel about you." They returned to Ulani Kingdom. King Anyasi was very happy. "Finally, my son has found a woman of his dream." Immediately, the king ordered for the wedding preparation to begin. Kamsi's heart was filled with joy. He is finally getting married to the most beautiful woman in the land. But deep down, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease Amara's word had left him with. What could her secret be? Amara stayed at the palace for some days. And within these few days, King Anyika noticed some things unusual about Amara. He sensed something was wrong somewhere, but he couldn't point out what exactly the problem is. He summoned Kamsi one evening. "Kamsi, I must speak to you about Amara," the king began. "I have heard whispers from the village. Some say she has a strange aura about her." Kamsi brushed it off. "Father, you worry too much. Amara is kind and beautiful. I love her. But love is not enough, my son. You must be very careful. Ask her to reveal her secrets before the wedding day," King Anyika advised his son. Kamsi frowned his face. "I trust her, father. She will tell me when the time is right." As the day of the wedding draws closer, Kamsi felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The palace was beautifully decorated, and the air filled with the sound of music and laughter. Yet, Kamsi couldn't shake the nagging thought of Amara's secrets. When the D-Day finally came, Kamsi stood at the altar, his heart racing. He watched as Amara walked down the altar. Stunning in her white gown, she looked like an angel, and for a moment all the doubts vanished. Who gives this woman to be married? The priest answered. I do. Amara's father stepped forward with a smile. As the ceremony progressed, Kamsi's heart swelled with joy. But when it was time for Amara to speak her vows, he noticed her hands were trembling. She took a deep breath. Kamsi, there is something I must tell you, she began, her voice shaking. Kamsi leaned closer, his heart pounding. You can tell me anything, Amara. But before she could finish, she took a deep breath and held her stomach tightly. The guests watched in shock as her form began to change. Her beautiful gown sparkled and her body began to change into something else. Kamsi stumbled back. Horrified, he shouted, Amara, what is happening? Within few seconds, Amara transformed before their eyes. Her legs fused together. Kamsi felt his heart drop into his stomach. No, this can't be happening, he shouted. When Amara completely transformed, she stood before Kamsi, not as a beautiful girl he loved, but as a serpent, a large shining snake. By this time, the church is almost empty. The guests had run away. Only few with strong minds stayed back to watch the drama till the end. Even the priest was nowhere to be found. No one has ever seen this kind of thing before. Kamsi, I am sorry, Amara said, her voice a mix of human and serpent. I am cursed. I can only take human form during the day, but at night I must return to my true self. Kamsi cried, You betrayed me. You deceived me. All this while, you hid your true self from me. I did not wish to deceive you, Amara pleaded, her voice softening. I thought you will love me regardless of my form. I had hoped to break this curse with your love. How can I love a creature like you? He shouted with tears in his eyes. I am still the same at heart. I care deeply for you, Kamsi. Please do not turn away from me. But Kamsi couldn't bear to look at her. You should have told me the truth. Now it is too late. With that, he turned and ran out of the altar, leaving Amara behind. The villagers murmured in shock as Kamsi ran away. The prince had broken the hearts of the most beautiful girl in the village, who turned out to be Snake. At the palace, King Anyika was seen pacing up and down, anger boldly written on his face. As soon as Prince Kamsi entered into the palace sweating, the king began. I told you, but you wouldn't listen. You were blinded by your quest to marry the most beautiful woman in the world. Now you see what you have put yourself into. See the shame you have brought to my kingdom. You married a snake woman. After the terrifying experience with Amara, Prince Kamsi's heart was left scared. His love had turned into a nightmare, and he could not stop seeing the image of Amara revealing herself as a snake. The shock of that moment lingered in his mind. He vowed never to seek love or marriage again. Every woman he saw reminded him of that dreadful day. He found it impossible to trust anyone. Kamsi withdrew from the kingdom affairs, spending his days alone. The thought of marriage felt impossible. He saw no future in anyone, and so he decided he would remain unmarried. His father, King Anyika, became worried about his son's unusual behavior. He could not imagine his only son living without a companion. He longed to see his son happy again. The king spoke to Kamsi often, trying to understand his fears and worries. "Kamsi, I know you have been hurt," he said one evening. "But not every woman is the same. There are good, honest girls in our village who will stand by you with loyalty and kindness." But Kamsi only shook his head. "Father, I cannot go through this pain again. I will live my life in peace as I am without a woman." King Anyika did not give up on Kamsi. He reasoned with him anytime opportunity arose. "Kamsi," the king would say, "there are those who live with true hearts, who do not deceive or hide behind beauty. You cannot give up on love because of one bitter experience." It took King Anyika more than 2 years of persuasion and encouragement to finally convince Kamsi to open his heart once again. As time goes on, Kamsi began to see that perhaps, just maybe, his father was right. He couldn't let one experience dictate the rest of his life. Kamsi made it clear to his father that he was not seeking the most beautiful girl in the village. Instead, he was looking for someone whose heart was as genuine as her actions. A woman whose character was her greatest beauty. He wanted honesty and kindness. Word spread throughout the village. Young girls were presented once again, but Kamsi met each of them, and eventually he chose Adaobi, a humble, caring woman known for her selfless and gentle spirit. She wasn't the most beautiful woman, but her warmth and compassion drew Kamsi to her. The wedding day came. It was just a little gathering. They decided to keep it simple. Just the members of both families and few friends. With Adaobi by his side, he had found a true love that was solid and true, one that healed his heart and brought him happiness he had almost given up on. The prince had finally learned that true beauty lay not in appearance, but in the goodness of a pure heart. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, comment, share the story to your loved ones, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.